When you're the best team in the country, everyone is trying to knock you off your perch. But if you're the best team in the country, you'll stay on the perch. Join us for the regional tournament highlights. The Suzanne Yocklin Show is next.
And the Dogs' deed is done. What can I say? They were the best. They really stood out. They put it all together when it counts, and that's what the sport's all about.
And that just may do it for Georgia here tonight.
Wow.
The Jim Dog Show is brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Yocklin. Welcome to the Jim Dog Show. With me today is Associate Head Coach Jay Clark, and once again we're going to bring you the results from competition this past weekend. And this weekend it was our NCAA first round of competition, the regional competition held in Denver, Colorado, where our team did win the regional competition and advanced on to the NCAAs.
Right, Suzanne, and it was a great meet from a lot of standpoints. We did have the disappointment and the distraction in the middle of the meet with losing one of our seniors, Ashley Kupets, who will not be able to participate in the national championships. So we did have a little bit of a distraction there, but we righted the ship, vaulted very well, and were able to come out with a pretty impressive victory. And as a matter of fact, only a half a tenth off the top score in the nation going into the national championship. So our confidence level has to grow a little bit from that.
Definitely, we are one step closer to putting it all together at the end of the season, which is always the goal, to peak at the end, and we're definitely one step closer. We had just an extraordinary competition on 2 of the events, and then as Jay said, Ashley Kupets went down in the 30-second touch right before floor exercise, so, you know, it was hard. I mean, we had to regroup in 30 seconds, and then Grace Taylor had to go out and compete with just a lot of question marks on the floor in terms of how is Ashley doing, you know, what's her status, and the team had to refocus with no time at all to really regroup, and it was difficult, and they came through that situation really well and then went on to vault very well, considering, again, we didn't have Ashley in the vaulting lineup, one of our strongest vaulters. So all in all, it was a good competition for us. We not only won the Southeastern Regional meet, but to expand on what Jay said, that score put us in the 3rd place going into nationals, so we're the number 3 seed. But the good news is we were only a half a tenth behind Utah and Florida, who tied at their respective regional competitions, and they go into the national championships number 1 and number 2, just a half a tenth behind. So the top 3 teams in the country are really, really close in terms of where we are right now, and so it's going to be a close one at the finals.
Absolutely, Suzanne. So let's take a look at the first 2 rotations of the North Central Regional Championship.
Here we are in Magnus Coliseum on the campus of University of Denver, and the Gym Dogs are seated number 1 in the North Central region. We started on the uneven bars with, first up, as she has been all season, Nikki Childs. And typically at a regional competition, the scores are a little tight at the beginning of the meet, but you can see Nikki's a great first off for us because she's got great handstand position, which is one of the things that the judges have been looking for the entire season. There she is, hitting all of her handstand positions. This is a great routine. I don't see any deductions at all from Nikki so far. She dismounts with a giant full pirouette right on top of the bar, immediate double tuck, and a stuck routine. Beautiful, beautiful start routine, 9.85. And here is Grace Taylor in the 3rd position. Grace has been very consistent on the uneven bars for us this year. There's her hop handstand front stalder. You can see she has a little trouble with her swing and has to muscle that up. And that could be a 1/10 deduction, a half a tenth to a 1/10 deduction. After that, she recovers nicely. And there's her in-bar Comanche. Back up to handstand and hits the vertical position. And Grace dismounts with a double layout. And here it is, nice and high above the bar, stuck landing, and a great score of 9.875.
And Katie Heenan, another one of our stalwarts on this event. Toe blind, dead on top, beautifully done, huge Jaeger. That's exactly the way you want that combination done. Every day we work on that. Good overshoot to handstand, straight to handstand. Katie nails all of her handstands. That one might have been just a tad short. Blind change to her double front. You can see the legs come apart, and that is some of her deduction there, and a slight shift of the foot, 9.875.
Next up on bars is Kelsey Erickson. So far, so good. George is really holding a clinic on this event right now. All of the handstands are there. Lots of great releases and amplitude. You can see there are very few, if any, mistakes at all, except for the obvious small steps on the dismounts. So far, we're really building in scores. Kelsey has 2 big major releases in her bar routine and a beautiful dismount, so hopefully with the good routines ahead of her, she will be rewarded with this excellent routine. No deductions on handstands, and now she gets ready to dismount. An Arabian blind landing, double front, stuck landing, and she is rewarded a 9.925. Great routine from Kelsey.
Courtney Kupets, and the one she warmed up, folks, was the one you saw when she got a 10 earlier this year, so she's going here. There's the Ray right there, a little bit flat on the overshoot. We don't go all the way up to handstand. Again, that's not a deduction, but we do try to get her to go to the handstand whenever possible, just because it is so beautiful when she does. Great hop full to Tkachev combination there. Now she's getting ready for the dismount. A little bit short on that last handstand. It's probably where the judges are going to hit her, because, and then a little bit of a bobble balance check there on the landing, and 9.9 is her score.
What a great rotation for Georgia on the uneven bars. A high score of 49.425, the highest bar score in any regional meet for Georgia since 2001. Just an unbelievable score. So we rotate over to beam with a lot of confidence and start out with Grace Taylor in her usual lead-off position. Here's her flight series, one arm back handspring to a back pike, stuck, or switch leap, jump pike, and that could be a deduction there, a little bit of off balance and a little bit of amplitude deduction. Beautiful full turn, immediate gainer layout. And one more combination here, a front aerial to a standing back layout. And that could be just a tiny check. Very few, if any, deductions. Now she gets ready to dismount. Here's her tumble series, double full, hops for a 1/10 deduction, a score of 9.85. Great routine from Grace.
Nikki Child's up next, and the thing you notice most about all the routines, but especially the first 2 up in our lineup, is just the rhythm with which they work the beam. They're not chopped up routines, as you see so much in college gymnastics. They move very well and flow with their dance between the skills, and that's something you don't get to see a lot of in our highlights because of time, but you can see Nikki's really rocking and rolling on this routine here. She's nailed everything so far. Switch leap to double stag. That front leg could have gotten a little higher on that double stag, so she may have taken a little bit of an amplitude deduction there, or lack of split. And then the dismount, which is a C that she nails, goes 9.85. So we're off and rolling. Got 2 great routines to get us started.
And here is Tiffany Tolnay. She is one of the best beam workers on our team and one of the best beam workers in the country in terms of execution. Her switch side leap is very, very high, as is her back handspring layout step out. You can see her body's almost completely straight when she lands. Her punch front has a high landing on it as well. She has absolutely no deductions in this routine to this point. There's her jump combination, so she is deduction free until the dismount here. Double tuck, nice and high. Big step on the dismount, which is probably a 1/10.5 deduction, and she scores a 9.85.
That was probably the best routine I've seen Tiffany do all year. And then Courtney McCool follows that up with this routine. Excellent, very solid on the series there. Switch leap, back leg could have been a little higher. I don't even know if they would have taken anything there, though. Sheep jump for her combination bonus. Front aerial, very well done. She is not, there's not a single balance check in this routine to this point. Round off double full, little hop there on the landing. That's going to get her a 10th, and she goes 9.9, so there must not have been much else in that routine.
You're right, it was great. McCool's only deduction was that dismount. We're having some trouble sticking the dismounts, but you can see that our scores are reflecting that the internal parts of the routine are excellent. And here's Katie Heenan with her flight series. That might be a 1/4 of a 10th deduction, just a little bit off balance, but very small. Nice leap combination there, no deduction at all. Here comes her front tuck, and she squats a little bit too low. I would take a 1/2 10th on her landing, and her dismount, a round off double twist, stuck landing, great routine from Katie, and a 9.925.
So 49.375 on the balance beam, and suddenly we're really in position to push that really high 197 mark, as we're at a 98.8 halfway through the meet, headed to floor.
The Gym Dog Show is brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia. By Makar Homes. Makar Homes, built with passion for over 50 years. Brown Arrowhead Clinic. Arrowhead Clinic, Georgia's largest spinal health care organization. By Athens Regional Medical Center. At Athens Regional, we have a specialty. You. By the John Bull Stores of the Bahamas. John Bull, the shopping mecca of the Caribbean. And by Phil Hughes Honda. Phil Hughes Honda, the official car dealer of the Georgia Gym Dogs.
One look and you'll be captivated. The all-new Honda CR-V. Everything has been redesigned from the exterior to the amenity-rich interior. Indulge your senses with elements like leather, navigation, an updated engine with better power, gas mileage, and cleaner emissions. Drive with confidence. It's also been awarded the top safety pick for its class. The Honda CR-V. It's the SUV you've been craving. Visit Phil Hughes Honda on the Atlanta Highway, Athens.
Makar Homes is proud to announce its 50th anniversary. With passion for quality, Makar is committed to customer satisfaction before, during, and after building your home. With over 40 communities around Atlanta, Makar has a plan and neighborhood for any lifestyle, from affordable townhomes to luxurious estates. For more information, visit www.makarhomes.com. Makar Homes, built with passion for over 50 years.
Ask Suzanne, brought to you by Makar Homes. And this week's question is, can the Gym Dogs win another NCAA title this year? And the answer is, of course. It's new life at the championships. None of the scores prior to the finals will count. The team just needs to get out there and perform that day, and we definitely are a contender. That's Ask Suzanne, brought to you by Makar Homes.
Welcome back. Well, a great rotation on bars and a great rotation on beam. And starting on bars, Suzanne, typically early in a meet like this, the scores tend to be a little bit tighter and then they loosen up as we go through the meet. But we ended up with the highest bar score we've had in 5 years at a regional championship with a 49.425. And then we follow that up on the balance beam with a 49.35, and just an outstanding start to a meet that we really need to get things going on, and it's nice to have those two events out of the way.
It is nice, and it was so much fun. The team was so relaxed and just enjoying the competition, having good. You could tell that they were committed, yet having a good time throughout the meet, and both of those rotations were excellent. Bars, by the way, was the highest score of any team in the country in any of the regional competitions, and it was just an unbelievable start, and things were really rolling. Let's take a look at what goes on next on the floor exercise. What an unbelievable first two rotations. You can see the team is fired up. We know that we're doing really well, and we want to keep it going. We start out on floor with Grace Taylor. Now, Grace is competing right after Ashley Kupets was just taken away injured, so she's very distracted, goes out of bounds on her first pass again, and that's just a shame because Grace really does have a nice floor routine. You can see she comes back strong on the second and third pass, but unfortunately that first pass is really going to hurt her score, and she scores only a 9.675, and as it turns out, we will have to count Grace's score in our team total.
Here's Kelsey Erickson on about 30 seconds notice that she had to go in. Kelsey usually shows up, though, when you need her to, and that's a great double pike to open the routine. Comes back with her front full in the middle. That's a very difficult pass, folks. It's only C to C in terms of what it's credit it's given, but it is a difficult pass to do and do well. And a high double tuck that she kind of stumbles back, doesn't really drag the front foot, so it's not too much of a deduction, but a 9.85 and a very solid score under the circumstance.
And here comes Katie Heenan. Now in this routine, we do shift the middle and the last passes and put the double pike in the middle because she had some trouble in warm-ups. We're not sure if it was the altitude or what, but Katie did have some problems, so we put this double pike right here as the second pass, and it's so easy for her in the middle. She really over-rotates and loses her balance and steps out of bounds, and it's a score that we will have to count. So once again, out of bounds are going to cost our team in this competition. It's going to cost us 0.2 of a point as Katie scores only a 9.75. Next up is Courtney McCool, and Courtney had troubles at the SEC Championships. What a beautiful first pass. It does not look like there's going to be any problems in this meet. That was just absolutely gorgeous. The difficulty in the dance here is beautiful. There's a tourjete full coming out of a switch ring, which is a difficult combination. Courtney has really been working hard to make sure that her tumbling passes do stay in bounds. Her middle pass is a whip to immediate double full, which is a bonus with a C level, and it really meets the requirements very nicely. She's getting ready for her last tumbling pass, which is a front handspring front double full. Here's her turn first, a horizontal double turn. She nails that in this particular meet, and that's a very hard turn to do. Getting back to the last pass, she's supposed to do a front handspring front double full, which is an E-level skill, and sometimes she has trouble, but the good thing is when she's having trouble with it, she can go right into a Rudy, which is a front 1.5, and it's a D-level skill, meets the requirements. So in this meet, she makes the adjustment, which is what top athletes do, and does the Rudy, the 1.5 twist, no deduction, and Courtney puts out the best routine not only of the night, but one of the best floor routines in the country, and ends up scoring a 9.95.
Next up, last up, Courtney Kupets, and wanted to make sure she was focused on her routine because of the injury to her sister. You can see a little step back there on the Arabian double. Beautifully done middle routine. That's the way it's supposed to be done. She goes straight up on that Shushanova right out of the Rudy, and then finishes up with a very strong double pike there at the end. No deduction on the last pass. Really, the only deduction in the whole routine was that first pass where she had that slight step back, and she goes 9.9, and so we salvage what could have been a disaster for us on floor had they been distracted.
Lauren, this question is for you. How hard has it been adjusting to your coursework here at Georgia?
Thanks for the question. It's been kind of a tough adjustment coming to college, but we actually go to a study hall center 8 hours a week, and we meet with tutors and we have mentors, and so they make sure we do our homework every night, and we get studied and everything. So, I mean, it's hard, but it's fun, and we're doing a great job.
You've been injured in a car crash. You won't get the money you deserve if your injuries haven't been properly treated and, most important, documented. At Arrowhead Clinics, we've been treating and documenting the injuries of car accident victims for years. We are the experts, and we provide the best treatment and documentation available for your injuries. It's already been several hours since your accident. Don't delay. Your injuries must be properly documented. So make the call now, because the first thing you need to do is get treatment. Arrowhead is the leader.
Drop by drop. A trickle becomes a stream, flowing from the source, refreshing, fresh, in the store or at your door. Millwood Springs.
Welcome back. Well, as you can see, we started off floor exercise with Grace Taylor and then followed up by Kelsey Erickson. And what happened is Ashley Kupets went down in the touch. Kelsey was not slotted to compete in the regional competition, and we stuck her in at the last second, so Kelsey did a great job of coming through. But the distraction of Ashley's injury, I think, really really affected the team, don't you, Joe?
Yeah, I think it's a totally separate deal than what we looked at when we were at the SEC championships, in that we, with about 15 seconds left to get out there and do a double back, we had to get Kelsey in there to warm up a double back during the touch. There was a lot of confusion trying to make sure the lineup was changed with the judges and the officials, and so I think that had a large part to do with the mistake that Grace made. And going out of bounds, a little bit different situation than what we dealt with at the SECs, and then moving Katie's last pass to the middle because she had some trouble in warm-ups, may have distracted her a little bit, and then Tiffany's mistake was just very uncharacteristic. You don't see her make that mistake very often, so I'm not really concerned about the mistakes because I think there's something you can point to this time that says
this is why
it happened, and so we've still got a chance really to be the top seed in the country coming out of floor, even with only a 49-125, headed to vault, and
we did. We knew when we were headed to vaulting what Florida had scored in the earlier regional competition, and we knew that with some really good not even exceptional vaulting, just our average vaulting, that we still had a chance to put up a big score on vaulting and possibly go into the NCAAs as the #1 seed. Let's see what happens on the vaulting rotation. Now on vaulting, first up is Marcia Newby. We had to make some adjustments because of Ashley's injury. Marcia's starting us out. Yurchenko half front layout. It is so nice, but she cannot find that landing, and that step is way too big. This is one of the areas we're really going to have to improve on before the championships, because Marcia's score is going to become even more important to us now that Ashley's injured.
Then Katie Heenan up next. We moved her earlier in their lineup. We felt like her vault was so good that it would hold no matter where we put it. Just a hop there on the landing, otherwise a beautiful vault. She really gets on the table and gets it up in the air. Just the hop there on the landing is what's got her, and 9.875 is the score.
And here's Courtney Kupets in warm-up. She nailed a vault that could have gone a perfect 10. And here she is in the competition with a small little hop on the landing, but a beautiful vault. And Courtney really, really has kept her focus throughout this competition, even though her sister was injured. And she produces for the team a 9.9.
Next up, senior Kelsey Erickson, and she's really wanting to stick. Kelsey's one of the more mathematically gifted people that we have on our team, and she'd pretty much figured out where we were and what we were trying to do, and was really working hard for that stick. And you see she stalled that vault, pikes it in, and takes a big hop and goes an uncharacteristic 9.775.
But here comes Tiffany back strong. Yurchenko full, stuck landing. Why that was not a 10, I don't have any idea, because I have never seen anyone do that vault better. She scores a 9.95, winning this event for us. And just look at that, just beautiful, beautiful straight body landing, absorbs the landing, and like I said, 9.95.
And as a last-minute entry because of the injury to Ashley, Adrienne Dishman on vault. The senior from Athens, does a handspring front pike half. It's different than the other vaults. Gets up pretty good off the table. You can see she lands very low with her chest down and takes that step crossways and goes 9.775. But again, not knowing she was going to go until we got to floor, it was a very good effort on her part.
The final team results are Georgia wins the North Central region with a score of 197.275, and you can see Denver also qualifies for the championships with a 195.825. Routine of the Week, brought to you by Athens Regional Medical Center, and this week's Routine of the Week is Courtney McCool on the floor exercise as she wins that event with a 9.95. That's Routine of the Week, brought to you by Athens Regional Medical Center.
I'm sorry, honey, I know it hurts. Oh, x-rays, they don't hurt at all. It's like a magic eye that looks inside of your body to see if anything's broken. This is where Hannah came to get her stitches out last year, remember? Of course, honey, Mommy will be with you the whole time. And remember, Mommy wouldn't take you here if it wasn't the best place in the whole world.
Athens Regional Medical Center, a passion for medical excellence.
Drop by drop, pure, refreshing. A trickle becomes a stream. Flowing from the source. Refreshing, fresh, in the store or at your door. Millwood Springs.
Countdown to the NC2A is brought to you by Melwood Springs, and as you can see, Utah put some meat together at the regionals to come in tied with Florida for the #1 seed, and they will be at home. Rounding out the 12, the Denver Pioneers get in for the first time since 2001, and that's Countdown to the NC2As brought to you by Melwood Springs. Well, there it is, the results of the North Central Regional. We head to the NCAA Championships now with a score of a 197.275. Certainly a great score, especially under the circumstances that we experienced on the floor exercise. So we head to Salt Lake City next week, Suzanne.
That's right, and just to take a moment, Ashley Kupets' injury is just so heartfelt from our entire team. She was really a big part of the just grit and perseverance and determination of this team, not only this year, but throughout her career. And, one good thing is she has some tremendous memories, including the perfect 10 that she scored on senior night. And it's funny because within an hour after Ashley knowing that she ruptured her Achilles and would no longer be competing this season, she was right in there saying, "Make my cheerleader t-shirt. I want to be Gym Dog cheerleader, and I'll be right out there." And she will be traveling with us next week to the NC2A, so that's the good thing. And to summarize once again, the regional competition, great first 2 rotations, injury right before floor exercise. The team rallied back and put up an okay score on floor and tried to come back strong and held on to a really respectable final total score, which places us in the #3 seed going into the national championships. As we head out to Salt Lake City, we will be competing on the first day. There'll be 6 teams in the afternoon session, 6 teams in the evening session, and only 3 teams from each session will rotate on to the Super 6. And as a little side note, Georgia is the only team in the country who has competed in the Super 6 Challenge every year since its inception. So we'll see you next week with a little preview to the NCAAs. We'll be talking to Kelsey Erickson and also just get back with you on how the team is feeling headed out to Salt Lake City. See you then.
The Gym Dog Show has been brought to you by Melwood Springs. Melwood Springs from the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Georgia. By Makar Homes. Makar Homes, built with passion for over 50 years. Brown Arrowhead Clinic. Arrowhead Clinic, Georgia's largest spinal health care organization. By Athens Regional Medical Center. At Athens Regional, we have a specialty. You. By the John Bull Stores of the Bahamas. John Bull, the shopping mecca of the Caribbean. And by Phil Hughes Honda. Phil Hughes Honda, the official car dealer of the Georgia Gym Dogs.